Hey, I'm Alex, and this is Wealth Unspoken. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. I used to think I could spot wealthy people from a mile away. The jewelry, the cars, the designer handbags. If someone looked rich, they were rich, right? Wrong. Because here's what I learned the hard way. The people screaming about their money, they usually don't have that much. But the people who are actually wealthy, the ones with generational money, with old money, you'd walk right past them and never know. Until you learn the signals, the silent ones, the ones they don't even realize they're giving off. And once you know what to look for, you'll see old money everywhere. At the airport, in restaurants, and at events. And you'll realize they've been hiding in plain sight the whole time. Here's the thing about old money. They don't dress like new money, they don't act like new money, and they don't talk like new money. They have their own language, their own uniform, and their own code. And I've spent years studying this, not because I'm obsessed with rich people, well, maybe just a little, haha, but because I wanted to understand what real wealth looked like when it wasn't being performative, when it wasn't trying to impress anyone. And what I found was fascinating. Old money gives off signals, subtle ones, things most people miss because they're looking for the wrong things. So today, I'm breaking down the 7 silent signals of old money, the things that tell you someone comes from generational wealth without them ever saying a word. So let's get into it. Here's the first signal. Old money looks plain, almost boring. When I first started paying attention to this, I thought I was missing something because these people weren't wearing anything flashy. No logos, no designer brands on display, just simple clean clothes. But then I looked closer, and here's what I realized. Their clothes aren't cheap. They're usually well-made pieces, but they're just understated. That navy blazer, custom tailored, probably $3,000, but no logo. That simple white shirt, Egyptian cotton that was made in Italy, $400, but you'd never know. Those loafers, handmade 20 years ago and resold 3 times. Old money buys quality, not labels. They want clothes that last decades, that fit perfectly, and that never go out of style. But they don't want you to notice. So if someone looks effortlessly put together, expensive but not loud, timeless but not trendy, that's signal number 1. Here's the second signal, and this one's huge. Old money never seems rushed. I remember being at an airport once. Everyone was frantic, running to gates and stressed about time. And then I saw this guy. He was probably in his 60s, simple clothes, calm, and just walking. Not fast, not slow, just a steady pace. And it hit me. When you have money, real money, you don't have to rush. Because you control your time. You don't stress about missing a flight because you can book another one. You don't hurry through conversations because you don't have to be anywhere. You move through the world like you own it, not arrogantly, just calmly. New money rushes. They're busy, they're grinding, and they're trying to prove something. Old money, they've already proven it, so they move slowly, deliberately, like time is theirs. If someone seems completely unbothered by urgency while everyone else is stressed, that's signal number 2. All right, unpopular opinion time. If someone's wearing a flashy watch, they're probably not old money. Here's what I've noticed. Old money either wears A, the same watch they've had for 30 years. It could be a Rolex. It could be a Timex. It doesn't really matter. They've had it forever and never thought about replacing it. Or B, a very simple classic watch. No diamonds, no gold, just clean, functional, timeless. New money? They're wearing the latest Dolce & Gabbana, something that screams, I spent over $100,000 on my wrist. But old money doesn't need to scream. They bought a good watch once, and that was enough. So if you see someone with a simple, classic watch, or a watch that's clearly been worn for decades, that's signal number 3. Here's something I learned from experience. Old money doesn't need to talk about themselves. I used to think rich people love talking about their success, their businesses, their investments, and their wins. But new money does that. They'll tell you everything. But old money, they ask questions. What do you do? How did you get into that? What's your take on this? They're genuinely curious because they're secure. They don't need validation. They don't need to prove anything. So they listen more than they speak. And when they do talk about themselves, it's vague, like, I'm in real estate. I do some consulting. Family business. Never any specifics, never divulging numbers. If someone's more interested in your story than telling theirs, that's signal number 4. Here's a subtle one. Old money knows people, important people, but they never name drop. I've been in conversations where someone casually mentions, yeah, I had lunch with a friend who works in policy. And later you find out that friend is a senator or a CEO or someone incredibly connected, but they didn't lead with that. They didn't say, I had lunch with Senator so-and-so. They just said, a friend. Because old money doesn't use connections as social currency. They have access, but they just don't announce it. New money name drops constantly. I know this person. I know that person. Old money, they know even more people. They just don't tell you. If someone references influential people without emphasizing who they are, that's signal number 5. Here's one most people miss. Old money is comfortable with silence. In conversations, there are pauses, moments where nothing is being said, and most people rush to fill that space. They talk, they joke, They keep things moving. But old money, they just sit. They don't feel the need to fill every second with noise. They're comfortable being quiet because they're not performing. They're not trying to entertain you. They're not worried about awkward moments. They're just present. And that comfort with silence signals confidence and security. No need to prove anything. If someone can sit in silence without discomfort, that's signal number 6. Here's the final signal, number 7, and it's one of the most telling. Old money has effortless manners. Not the kind of manners that feel forced, not the trying to be polite kind, but ingrained, natural courtesy kind. They hold doors without thinking about it. They say please and thank you to everyone, the waiter, the valet, the person at the counter. They treat everyone with the same level of respect because old money was raised with these manners. It's second nature. New money sometimes forgets. They're polite when it benefits them, but they slip. They're rude to people they don't think matter. Old money treats everyone the same because they were taught that's what you do. Not because they're trying to be nice, but because that's just who they are. If someone's manners are so natural they almost seem invisible, that's signal number 7. Look, here's why this matters. Old money figured out a long time ago that real wealth doesn't need to announce itself. They don't wear logos, they don't rush, they don't flash watches, they don't brag, they don't name drop, and maybe most importantly, they don't perform. Because when you actually have it, you don't need to prove it. And the ironic part? Most people spend their whole lives trying to look rich, while actual wealthy people are trying to blend in. So, if you want to build real wealth, the kind that lasts for generations, the kind that doesn't need validation, then stop performing, stop announcing, and stop trying to look the part. Just be quiet about it, build it, protect it, and let it compound. Because at the end of the day, the people who actually have wealth aren't the ones screaming about it. They're the ones you walk right past without even noticing. And now you know the signals. I'm Alex, and that's Wealth Unspoken.